Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. So in this video we will learn regarding electron transport chain. So before going through this video, please go through the previous videos regarding glycolysis, Krebs cycle and PDH complex reaction. Then it will be easy to understand how this electron transport chain works. So in this session we will learn the basics of electron transport chain, means what are the complexes, what are the enzymes involved, and how the electrons are being transferred from one complex to the other complex in the electron transport chain, and finally how the ATP is being synthesized. So we will define what is electron transport chain as well as what is oxidative phosphorylation. We will see different components of electron transport chain, we will see its pathway and mechanism, and we will see how this electron transport chain is inhibited. So let us start with the introduction, that is the basics of electron transport chain. So as we all know, during the oxidation of glucose, that is in the glycolytic pathway, glucose is oxidized through different oxidative reactions leading to carbon dioxide and water. Means it undergoes oxidation to produce pyruvate. From pyruvate it undergoes PDS complex reaction to produce acetyl-CoA. From this acetyl-CoA is transferred into Krebs cycle, means it undergoes Krebs cycle, finally yielding carbon dioxide and water. So these metabolic reactions produces different intermediates and also utilizes coenzymes such as NAD plus and FAD. So these coenzymes get reduced and get converted into energy rich form known as NADH and FADH2. Now these reduced coenzymes in turn enter into the electron transport chain. None of the intermediates from the glycolysis, PDH complex or the Krebs cycle enter into electron transport chain. Only the reduced energy equivalents like NADH and FADH2. Only these two molecules undergo electron transport chain and produces energy in the form of ATP. So this transfer of electrons from the energy rich reduced coenzymes like NADH and FADH through series of complex electron carriers is known as electron transport chain. Understood what is electron transport chain? Electron transport chain is a series of a chain reaction. It is a series of a chain reaction consisting of different complexes with electron carriers. Specifically or right, electron transport chain is a chain reaction consisting of different complexes with electron carriers where the energy rich reduced coenzymes like NADH and FADH2 donate a pair of electrons to the electron carriers. Such process is known as electron transport chain, or you can also say as respiratory chain, because in the final step of this electron transport chain, oxygen is being reduced to form water. So whatever inhalation of oxygen is taken place through the lungs, majority of the oxygen is being utilized in the ETC to form water, and because of oxidation of this NADH and FADH2. So where the oxygen get reduced to water and it transfers the electrons, or you can say the energy, to the final step known as oxidative phosphorylation. That is nothing but the ATP generation. Now coming to what is definition of oxidative phosphorylation. So whatever the electrons and the protons are being transferred through the ETC, from that energy is generated, and some part of that energy, the energy that is released during the electron transport chain, some part of that energy is utilized for synthesis of ATP, that is from specifically ADP and inorganic phosphate. Such process is known as oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative because in ETC most of the reactions are oxidative in nature, so whatever energy is produced during that oxidation is captured. And phosphorylation because ADP is being phosphorylated, that is ADP is added with phosphate group to form ATP. So such process is known as oxidative phosphorylation. So now let us see in detail what is electron transport chain and what are its components. So you can see here the components of electron transport chain are specifically located in the inner membrane of mitochondria. You can see this is a mitochondria, this is outer membrane, this is the inner membrane, and this is the matrix, and the space between the outer membrane and the inner membrane is known as intermembrane space. So the components or the electron transport chain is taken place in the inner membrane. You can see these all highlighted with the red mark are the components of ETC. These are the components of ETC from which energy is produced, and finally this F1 and F4 is nothing but ATP synthesis. This is also one of the component of ETC where the final oxidative phosphorylation, or you can say ATP synthesis, takes place. And also you have to make a note that hydrogen, sodium and potassium, these are important ions that are responsible for final generation of ATP, and specifically the hydrogen ions are very important because oxidation, redox reactions, whatever are taking place during the ETC, most of them releases hydrogen ions, or you can say whatever the reactions that are taking place during the ETC, there is a transfer of hydrogen ions along with the energy and electrons. So this inner membrane space is highly impermeable to these ions, that is sodium, potassium and hydrogen, and also it is impermeable to molecules like ATP, ADP and pyruvate. So for these molecules to travel across the mitochondria and the cytosol, specialized proteins are required, or these proteins are also known as transport proteins or carriers. So specialized carriers or transporter systems are required to transfer the ions as well as the molecules across the mitochondrial matrix and cytosol. So this is the overall view of electron transport chain. So the inner mitochondrial membrane is disrupted into 5 distinct respiratory or enzyme complexes. So each and every complex of the ETC is named as complex 1, complex 2, complex 3, complex 4 and complex 5. So let us see what are these different complexes. So first complex is known as NADH dehydrogenase complex, because whatever the NADH is produced during the cellular respiration, remember components of cellular respiration, that is glycolysis, PDH complex reaction, then Krebs cycle or TCA cycle, and finally electron transport chain. Electron transport chain is the final component. So before this, the 3 steps whatever are involved in the oxidation of the glucose, during that NADH is being synthesized or NADH is being produced. So this NADH is again oxidized to NAD+. So the enzyme that is responsible for oxidation of NADH to NAD+ is known as NADH dehydrogenase enzyme. But this complex NADH dehydrogenase complex along with the enzyme NADH dehydrogenase, it consists of FMN as a coenzyme. Also it consists of iron sulfur proteins. So this is complex 1, that is NADH dehydrogenase complex. So because of these 3 components, that is the enzyme, the coenzyme FMN and iron sulfur protein, it is known as complex. The second complex is succinate dehydrogenase complex. So this succinate dehydrogenase complex consists of succinate dehydrogenase enzyme along with iron sulfur proteins. So all the complexes, majority of the complexes contains iron sulfur proteins. These iron sulfur proteins are very important in order to transfer the electrons from one complex to the other complex, from first complex to second, second to third, third to fourth and finally to the fifth. So role of iron sulfur protein is important for the transfer of electrons from one complex to the other complex. Third complex consists of cytochrome B and C1. So in this complex, cytochrome B as well as cytochrome C1 are present along with the iron sulfur proteins. The complex 4 is known as cytochrome oxidase. This cytochrome oxidase complex consists of cytochrome A, cytochrome A3, iron sulfur proteins and copper ions. So all these components together make it as cytochrome oxidase. This oxidase, because there is a final oxidation of iron sulfur proteins which donates the electrons to oxygen where this oxygen is being reduced to water. So this is the role of cytochrome oxidase, where the final electrons are donated from the iron sulfur proteins to oxygen, where the oxygen is being reduced to water. Next is complex fifth, this is ATP synthesis. This is the final stage of the ETC, where ATP synthesis takes place utilizing the energy that is being transferred from complex 1 to complex 4. Or you can say also the hydrogen ions that are being transferred from 1 to 4. Finally, all the energy and the hydrogen ions are combined and transferred to the ATP synthase, where the ADP molecules, that is adenosine diphosphate, along with the inorganic phosphate, they combine, utilize the energy, and they convert into ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. This ATP is a reserve form of energy. So now let us see how this ETC works. So this is how the electron transport chain complexes look like. So this is complex 1, that is NADH dehydrogenase complex. Complex 2, succinate dehydrogenase complex. Complex 3, that is cytochrome B C1. Complex 4, cytochrome oxidase, also known as cytochrome A plus A3 complex. And this is fifth complex, that is ATP synthase. This is outer mitochondrial outer mitochondrial membrane. This is inner mitochondrial membrane. So these complexes are embedded inside the inner mitochondrial membrane, and the space between outer membrane and inner membrane is known as intermembrane space, and inside it is matrix. So now let us see how the electrons and the energy as well as the protons are transferred from one complex to the other complexes. So first step, from the NADH dehydrogenase is the first complex, where it receives NADH. So where does this NADH come from? As we have learned in the different pathways, that during redox reactions, NADH is being produced from NAD+. Right. So during reduction, NAD plus is converted to NADH and hydrogen ions. So now this NADH along with the hydrogen ions, right? So now this is being oxidized using NADH dehydrogenase enzyme. So oxidation results in generation of NAD plus and hydrogen ions, right? So now the electrons that are being released from this NADH oxidation are captured by FMN. So we had learned that complex 1 consists of 3 different components, that is NADH dehydrogenase enzyme, FMN, that is a flavin mononucleotide, it is a coenzyme, and also it contains of iron sulfur proteins. Now whatever the electrons that are released from NADH is being captured to FMN. So now this FMN get reduced to FMNH2. Now the electrons or the hydrogens are being transferred from this FMNH2 to FeS, that is iron sulfur proteins. Now these iron sulfur proteins are electron carriers and also electron transporters. So now these iron sulfur proteins, these are originally present in the oxidized state, means they are present as oxidized state, that is Fe+3 ferric state. So from this ferric state it gets reduced to Fe+2, right? Because of acceptance of electrons and hydrogens, because of acceptance of electrons from FMNH2, it gets reduced to Fe+2. Now these Fe+2 will donate the electrons to cytochrome Q. So this coenzyme Q, not cytochrome Q, it is coenzyme Q. So this coenzyme Q is a part of complex 2. This coenzyme Q is a part of complex 2. Now these electrons from this iron sulfur protein are being transferred to cytochrome Q. This cytochrome Q gets reduced to cytochrome QH2. Cytochrome Q accepts the electrons from the complex 1, that is specifically from the iron sulfur proteins. Now these electrons that are transferred to cytochrome Q gets reduced to cytochrome QH2. Okay, so whatever the energy is being generated during the redox reaction, this whole complete set of reaction is known as redox reaction, because there is a first oxidation of NAD plus followed by reduction of different components of complex 1. So now this redox reaction results in the generation of energy that results in the transfer of protons from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Now here comes the important part. That is, there is a transfer of protons from the matrix. As such, we have learned that in these membranes are impermeable to hydrogen, sodium, potassium, as well as they are impermeable to certain molecules like ADP, ATP and pyruvate. So specific carriers are required. So now here this complex 1 acts as a carrier and transfers 4 hydrogen ions. It transfers 4 hydrogen ions from the matrix into the intermembrane space. So now these 4 hydrogen ions are transferred into intermembrane space. Whatever the energy is generated during this redox reaction, it utilizes for the transfer of 4 hydrogen ions from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Now the second complex receives electrons or receives the hydrogens from the iron sulfur proteins of complex 1 and get reduced to coenzyme QH2. Now this second complex, that is succinate dehydrogenase complex. Now this succinate dehydrogenase, what does it do? You remember the Krebs cycle that takes place in the matrix. So this Krebs cycle. So one of the intermediate of this Krebs cycle was succinate, right? So this succinate gets converted, or you can say it gets oxidized to fumarate, right? It gets oxidized to fumarate along with reduction of FAD to FADH2. So succinate getting oxidized to fumarate along with reduction of FAD to FADH2. Now these FADH2 molecules are transferred to, are oxidized. Now this FADH2 are oxidized to FAD and hydrogen ions again. Now these energy, or you can say these electrons or these hydrogen ions, are accepted by iron sulfur proteins, right? Similarly here also ferric and ferrostate, depending on whether they accept the electrons or whether they lose the electrons. So these protons or these energy is being now transferred to iron sulfur proteins. These iron sulfur proteins again they transfer the electrons to coenzyme Q. So again this coenzyme Q gets reduced to coenzyme QH2. So there are two pathways by which coenzyme Q is reduced. That is because of first complex, because of oxidation of NADH to NAD plus, and also because of FADH2 to FAD. So these two oxidation reactions leads to the reduction of coenzyme Q to coenzyme QH2. Now cytochrome Q, that is cytochrome QH2, now transfers the electrons to the complex 3. So in complex 3 we know it is a complex of cytochrome B and cytochrome C1. So first, whatever the electrons or whatever the protons are transferred from cytochrome QH2 are received by, first is received by cytochrome C1. Cytochrome C1. Now these cytochrome C1 donates its electrons to iron sulfur proteins. Now these iron sulfur proteins again exist as Fe plus 3 and Fe plus 2, depending on the whether they accept or whether they donate the electrons. Fe plus 2. Now this reduced form of iron sulfur proteins donates the electrons to cytochrome B. So this is a complex wherein cytochrome C1 and cytochrome B are oxidized or reduced via iron sulfur proteins. Now whatever the energy is being generated during this third complex reaction, that is transfer of electrons from cytochrome C1 to cytochrome B via iron sulfur proteins, results in a pumping of protons, that is pumping of 4 protons from mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space. Here also again the energy whatever is generated helps in pumping of electrons of 4 protons from mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space. Now these electrons whatever are captured by cytochrome B in the third complex donates its electrons to cytochrome C. This is cytochrome C. Now the important point to remember regarding coenzyme Q and cytochrome C is this cytochrome C is not freely movable in the inner membrane, while this coenzyme Q can freely move in the inner membrane space traveling between complex 1 and complex 3. It can freely move such that the electrons can be easily transferred from complex 1 to complex 3. In between, complex 2 also donates its electrons to coenzyme Q. But this cytochrome C cannot move and is fixed and has a fixed position in the inner membrane. So whatever electrons that are being transferred from cytochrome B is captured by cytochrome C. Now this cytochrome C finally transfers the electrons to complex 4. So complex 4 is known as cytochrome oxidase. So this cytochrome oxidase consists of 4 different components, that is cytochrome A, cytochrome A3, iron sulfur proteins and copper ions. So these are very very important for transfer of electrons from the fourth complex to the last complex, that is complex 5. So now whatever the electrons are being received from this by the cytochrome C are transferred first to cytochrome A. So now this cytochrome A transfers its electrons to cytochrome A3 and finally it is received by iron sulfur proteins. So first cytochrome A receives from the cytochrome C. So this cytochrome A again donates its electrons to cytochrome A3 and finally to iron sulfur proteins. So these iron sulfur proteins get reduced. Right, after gaining the electrons, these iron sulfur protein gets reduced from ferric to ferrous form. So this transfer of electrons from A to A3 and finally to iron sulfur proteins is being catalyzed by copper ions. The role of this copper ions is to catalyze transfer of electrons from cytochrome A to A3 and finally to iron sulfur proteins. Now what happens is the final step includes whatever the energy or whatever the electrons are being transferred is utilized for reduction of oxygen. Now whatever the electrons or whatever the energy is being synthesized or being produced in the complex 4 reaction is being utilized for reduction of oxygen, and these oxygen utilizes 2 hydrogen ions already present in the mitochondrial matrix. Along with the electrons, it gets reduced to water. Here only half of the oxygen molecule is being utilized, that is only single oxygen atom is being utilized along with 2 protons that are already present in the mitochondrial matrix, and the electrons that are transferred or that are being generated in the complex 4 reaction. All these together combine and reduce oxygen to water. So this is how basically the electrons are being transferred from complex 1 to complex 4 via different intermediary complexes like complex 2 and complex 3 along with cytochrome C. During complex 2 reactions, there is no transfer of hydrogens from matrix to the intermembrane space. Only when complex 1 and complex 3 are active, at that time only the hydrogen ions are being pumped from matrix to the intermembrane space. Now these hydrogen ions get accumulated, right? Their concentration increases in the intermembrane space. So as we know, these intermembrane space and the inner membranes of the mitochondria are impermeable to hydrogen ions. So these hydrogen ions stay in the intermembrane space unless this complex 5 is active. So this complex 5 is known as ATP synthase. Now this ATP synthase drags these protons from inner membrane space to the matrix. So during transfer of these hydrogen ions, because this transfer takes place because the concentration of hydrogen ions in the intermembrane space is high as compared to the concentration of hydrogen ions in the matrix, that is low. So this high and low generates a potential gradient, or you can say electrical gradient. So this electrical gradient, or you can say potential gradient, is responsible for transfer of hydrogen ions to the from the intermembrane space to the matrix. So this transfer helps in the generation of energy via ATP synthase. So this energy, whatever is being synthesized during transfer, or whatever is being released during transfer of hydrogen ions from intermembrane space to the matrix, is utilized for conversion of ADP to ATP in presence of phosphate ions. Sorry, phosphate, not ions, inorganic phosphate. So ADP in presence of inorganic phosphate utilizes the energy that is being generated during the transfer of hydrogen ions from intermembrane space to the matrix via ATP synthase, leads to the generation of ATP. Now this ATP is known as reserved form of energy, that is, it is a stored form of energy. So this is how the NADH and FADH2 are being oxidized, and whatever the energy and the protons and the electrons are being produced during the oxidation step are being utilized by different intermediates and transferred to different complexes. Finally, all those electrons, protons are being transferred to the ATP synthase, that is complex 5, where there is synthesis of ATP from ADP and phosphate. From complex 1, whatever energy is being produced during these redox reactions helps in pumping of 4 hydrogen ions from the matrix to the intermembrane space. From the complex 3, again there is pumping of 4 hydrogen ions because of generation of energy, and from the complex 4, whatever energy is generated during the redox reaction helps in pumping of only 2 hydrogens, because the other 2 hydrogens, and because the energy that is being utilized is used for reduction of oxygen to water, utilizing 2 hydrogen ions, and the remaining energy is utilized for pumping of 2 hydrogens from matrix to the intermembrane space. So totally 10 electrons protons are being pumped from the matrix to the intermembrane space via oxidation of NADH, because NADH undergoes 3 series of reactions. So during NADH oxidation, 10 protons are being pumped, while during the oxidation of FADH2 only 6 protons are being pumped. You can see here NADH, as it is starts from the very first complex, so there is 4 and 2, so totally 10 protons are being pumped during NADH oxidation. 10 protons during NADH oxidation, while the FADH2 starts from the second complex reaction. So because there is no transfer of protons from the second complex, and there is transfer of protons from third and fourth, so there is no chance that the first complex comes into account. So only 6 protons are being generated when FADH2 is being oxidized. So now whatever these protons are being pumped into the intermembrane space are utilized for conversion of ADP to ATP. So this conversion is possible only when these protons are pumped through ATP synthase. So during this pumping there is a generation of energy. So this energy is utilized for conversion of ADP in presence of inorganic phosphate. So these both combine and utilize the energy, and there is a result in the synthesis of ATP. So we will see how this detailed ATP synthesis takes place in our next video, that is oxidative phosphorylation. So you can see here, this is a clear picture how these complexes are embedded in the intermembrane space. Sorry, this is in the mitochondrial membrane. This is intermembrane space. Outside this is outer membrane, and this is a matrix. This is complex 1, that is NADH dehydrogenase. The second one is the coenzyme Q, as well as complex 2. The third is complex 3, here cytochrome C, and the complex 4. And this blue colored complex is ATP synthase, which utilizes all the protons, generates the energy, and helps in synthesis of ATP from ADP and phosphate ions. So now let us see the inhibitors of ETC. So why this inhibition of ETC is required? So inhibition of ETC is important when there is excessive synthesis of ATP in the body. As we have seen, the regulation of each and every pathway, that is glycolysis as well as Krebs cycle, we have seen different regulation mechanisms being carried out. Here inhibition of ETC is also very important. So ETC, how it is inhibited, let us see. So first is NADH and coenzyme Q. The fish poison known as rotenone and barbiturate drugs like emetal as well as antibiotic pyridine A inhibits this site. Means the very first complex, that is site NADH dehydrogenase complex, as well as the coenzyme Q. That is the coenzyme Q is free molecules that are that travel between first, second and third complex. So these two molecules, that is NADH dehydrogenase complex as well as coenzyme Q, are inhibited by fish poison, barbiturate drugs and antibiotics. So all of these inhibit the oxidation processes, or you can say redox reactions processes being carried out during this NADH dehydrogenase as well as coenzyme Q. So the initial very first step of ETC is being stopped. So there is no generation of ATP because there is no oxidation of NADH. The second mechanism by which ETC is inhibited is between cytochrome B and C1. So this cytochrome B and C1 is a complex 4. So this complex 4 is inhibited by antimycin A. This antimycin A is an antibiotic. Next is a British anti-leviside. You have learned this BAL in the topic enzyme inhibitors. So it is a type of uncompetitive inhibitor, right? So what are uncompetitive inhibitors? These are the inhibitors that act when enzyme substrate complex is being formed. Means whatever the electrons or whatever the hydrogens are being transferred to cytochrome B C1, that is being, the process is continued. After formation of or after reduction of this iron sulfur proteins, these British antilevisides come and prevent the further transfer of electrons. So next inhibitor is inhibition of cytochrome oxidase, that is the fourth complex. So this cytochrome oxidase is being inhibited by carbon monoxide, cyanide. Cyanide is a type of a poison. Then hydrogen sulfide, it is a gas, and also azide. These effectively inhibit cytochrome oxidase. Now as we know that this fourth complex is very important for the reduction of oxygen to water. So whatever the inhaled oxygen is there, the most of the oxygen is being utilized during this fourth complex reaction. So as we know that the carbon monoxide inhalation is very dangerous. This is the reason behind it is it inhibits the ETC. You can see here carbon monoxide reacts with the reduced form of cytochrome, that is the iron sulfur proteins whatever are being reduced, that is Fe+2 form. So at that position carbon monoxide goes and attacks the iron sulfur proteins and it forms a complex with iron sulfur proteins. So that complex is irreversible in nature. So now that complex is not further available for transfer of electrons as well as transfer of protons, and there is no reduction of oxygen to water, and the protons whatever are the energy that is being released will not be available for transfer of protons from matrix to the intermembrane space. So this is how carbon monoxide is used as behaves as an inhibitor of electron transport chain. So last one is cyanide poisoning. So cyanide is probably the most potent inhibitor of ETC. So this cyanide binds to the oxidized state of iron sulfur proteins, right? So again cytochrome oxidase, that is the fourth complex, consists of oxidized state, that is before it accepts the electron. The iron sulfur proteins are present as Fe+3. Now this cyanide directly goes and binds to the Fe+3. So there is no acceptance of electrons from the cytochrome A3, right? We had learned, no? So you can see here, this is cytochrome A3 that finally donates the electrons to iron sulfur proteins of the oxidized state. Now this cyanide comes and attacks this iron sulfur proteins in the oxidized state and forms complex with Fe+3. So there is no chance that these electrons being transferred from cytochrome A3 to Fe+3. This results in blocking of mitochondrial respiration, leading to the cell death. So this is how the electrons are being transferred from first complex to the final complex, and also NADH and FADH2 are being oxidized, and there is resulting in the synthesis of ATP. So hope you understood in this session how there is a different mechanism of ETC, how ETC is being inhibited by different inhibitors. Thank you.